Today, December 22nd, 2025. More things happened today, but not restoration. And I don't like Santa Claus, and I don't like Christmas. So maybe my restoration will be tomorrow. It's not going to be on Christmas. I don't accept that. Okay, anyways, it's probably not anyways. So something I forgot to mention on yesterday's video, during the caroling at the first church, I noticed a lot of people that seemed good, and I didn't notice any covens or things in this church. But then when we met to do the caroling, then the older couple that was there with me introduced me to a man, and they said he's the one that does like the music lessons. And he looked at me, and I could tell he was evil. Oh no. So the music teacher, I could tell he was like an evil man. He was kind of like big and kind of looked like if you see a butcher in a horror movie. Okay, but I only saw him for a couple seconds. I didn't say anything to him, and then I went to the other side to get a cookie. So this was just only seeing him a few seconds, and they're like, "Oh, here's the music teacher." I'm like, hello, and then I left. And I'm like, that's evil. But here's the thing: is if God wants us to, bring people to our side, a lot of people can probably repent and become good. So I don't even know. This is just first opinion. Now, I went to the soup kitchen for lunch, and I missed a lot of the sermon, but I just I caught some of it, and then I saw the Bible verse. Was it Philemon 4:8? And then he had something written about or he was talking about changing our outlook, like same circumstances, but the way you think about it, your perception or your outlook. But the verse said something about truth, noble, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy. Like encouraging people. So he's got this man that works at the soup kitchen has a good message for the people that go there at their level that they need to hear. Because there's mainly addicts and things. He's encouraging them to do better and to improve themselves. So, and I do think he is a good man. But anyways, as soon as I walked in, and this person that works at the soup kitchen was giving the sermon, and then the man who had hit on me a few times, who was 71, and he's like, "Oh, hi." And I'm like, "Hi." And he told me he's like, "Come here." And I'm like, I'm going to go over here. I kind of said it like motion, like I didn't actually speak, but I moved my lips as to say I'm going over here. Because where he was sitting was all the way on the other side, and I would be at the end of the line. And so I'm going over here so that I'm not at the back of the line, because after the sermon you get in line to get your food. I said, I'm going over here. And then actually when I did sit down, after I got my tray, I sat down about where he was. So I wasn't trying to be rude, but I know he's trying to get me, they're just trying to tie me down. And let's see. And because the man who works at the soup kitchen was giving his sermon, I didn't want him to talk, or anything. And I'm like, hi. I wasn't like weird. I was nice. I said hello, and I said I'm going over here to go to the other side where the line forms. Anyways, got the food. The line was going real slow. Got the food, and then there was a lot of people. The place was packed. But then there was a space kind of like next to where the drinks and stuff are, where I would want to sit anyways. And then there was like a clear opening here. And so like the rest of the rows were pretty full. And then here is a spot that was good. It was kind of open to sit in. Once again, another setup. So then I noticed like 3 seats down was the man who yelled nasty at me when I blew my nose. My nose has been running for like a month. It won't stop. This is probably witchcraft, and they're using this against me. Or God has me do this to judge people. I don't know. My nose is running all the time. I'm getting a bunch of their napkins, blowing my nose. And I try to blow it away from people. But anyways. And then he saw me. And then he's like, go in the bathroom. I can't go in the bathroom and blow my nose. First of all, I have to blow my nose every 5 minutes. Not that often. I have to blow my nose multiple times. The bathroom is disgusting. Addicts go in there, and sometimes they are on drugs. I think most of the time though, but sometimes, and then they're using the bathroom and they don't know how to. Okay, there's that, but also I can't leave my tray. They know I can't leave my tray. Nobody leaves their tray unattended. I have no spotter. I am alone. There's no way I'm not taking my tray into the bathroom. So this guy, he's just trying to get me. And so then he keeps going and he keeps going and then and I look at him and he keeps going and saying nasty, nasty, nasty or you like blow your nose in the bathroom. I said that's dirty. I'm not blowing my nose in the or that's not hygienic. I'm not blowing my nose in the bathroom. He said, it's nasty. I said, I'm not nasty. And then I said, I'm not nasty. He was like yelling and he was like throwing a tantrum like a child. Okay. To like, I had to blow my nose. There's nothing I can do about it. And I wasn't right next to him. I was like, maybe it was like 5 feet away or something. And so, and I said, oh, blow my nose this way. It's like, go in the bathroom. This is not a normal bathroom. The volunteers do not use that bathroom. They use their own bathroom because this is a bathroom that people go in that are not clean. Some are not. So this is not where you go to blow your nose. But first of all, I can't leave my tray. This is the main reason. I actually might go in the bathroom to blow my nose if I could leave my tray without somebody tampering with it. I can't even leave it for like 5 seconds, let alone. Okay. So anyways, he was going, and he kept going, and trying to rattle me, and like I said I'm not going in the bathroom to blow my nose, and I said I'm not nasty, and I sat down, and then I enjoyed my food. Maybe they're hoping to ruin my food. It didn't. I ate my food, and then a few minutes after I sit down, then a woman, like a middle-aged woman, and she has a voice like she's been on drugs, comes and sits down here. Okay, and I don't really say anything. And then after a couple more minutes, a man comes from behind me, and he's like next to me behind it. And then he starts yelling at her, and she's yelling at him, and they're fighting. And then something he says, and I'm going to slit your tires. and so they're fighting. And, I'm trying to, like, ignore it. But after that, he was pretty rude to her. So, I said, oh, there's this recovery, addiction or hope and recovery meeting at the church tomorrow. And then she's like, oh yeah, and I told her it was, and she said she lives right next to it, so I invited her to that. And so it was good. So I just talked to her because I didn't want to, I was not to get involved in this situation. But right after that, then I talked to her nicely. Okay, so this is what, so if she was upset or something, I don't know what's going on then, but she told me something like he had killed his wife, or he killed his girlfriend because he gave her fentanyl and she died. I mean, it's like, this is, so, there's all types of trouble. But this, and I told her, and she said, I don't know why he did that today. I don't know why he did, oh, actually, it's not over yet. So then he left. Then a few more minutes later, then the man comes up, and this time, so I'm like here, this woman's like here, and then this time the man comes from this way. So I'm right in between them. They did this on purpose. Actually, yeah. So before this, and I told her, she said, I don't know why he's did this. This is something that happened 2 years ago. This happened, he lent me $10 to get gas, 2 years ago, and then I dropped him out somewhere or something. That's not how she worded it. I don't remember the exact words, but something that happened 2 years ago. And she's like, I don't know why he did that. And I said, it's because of me. It's because they drew it. They're trying to intimidate me and they're trying to get me to leave. And then a couple minutes later, then he comes in, and I'm right in the middle. And then they're, yelling. And I think he probably spit in my food, which I ate anyways. Because he was yelling. He was yelling at her, and she's yelling at him. And then they're just So he is, being really abusive towards her. And instead of just ignoring it, then she's yelling right back and cussing at him. And then they're cussing at each other. And these demons in them are really getting a lot of supply. Then one of the staff comes, and she breaks it up, and she looks she looks at me, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, sweetie, and I'm like, expecting me to be traumatized or something, and I'm like, no, I'm used to it. And I told her, yeah, and she said, I don't know why he did that. This is something that happened 2 years ago, and he didn't say anything, and now he doesn't. I said, it's because I'm here. They're trying to, You know, because I'm just trying to be nice to people and they're trying to intimidate me out of here or something. Let's see, I gotta blow my nose. Um, so they were really pulling out the big guns. First, the guy was waving hello, trying to hit on me again. I did say hello, but I didn't sit down next to him then because we were about to get in line, and this was very far away from the line. So that's really the reason why. And also, you know, come on. I know he's trying to hit on me because I am not allowed to go out with anyone. And I went to the other side, and so then this fight was split up, and then she said, watch my tray for a minute. She made sure he didn't slit her tires. I invited her to this meeting. That's what I mean. You can have people that have demons operating through them, and they might not even know. They don't even know. And then I tell her, it's like, oh, it's because I'm here. It's like, I don't know why you did that. I said, it's because I'm here. That's why. They do this before. Like, if somebody's sitting next to me, they'll come up and they'll talk really threatening and stuff, like, so I can hear. And then apparently this did work before in scaring people away. It doesn't work. To me, it does not work. They're not allowed to kill me. God won't allow it. I have an important mission here. And even then, like, you know, I used to be a wrestler. I used to be a fighter. Okay? I'm really good. I didn't have a weapon with me. I'm just saying I am really good with a weapon. And I would like to. Actually, it seems like everybody is short now. Everybody is like my height anymore. So you want to fight? Come on, let's go. No, I don't want to fight. Because I'm supposed to be an example of how Christ would behave for people to emulate. If you're the 144,000, is that we have worked on ourselves and we kind of know how to respond in situations, and how, you know, to how we're supposed to behave. And so we're an example for other people. And so we don't want to, come on, let's go. That's not right, okay? Even though that might be fun. No. Because that's why they're doing it. They don't even care. And anyways, I didn't really. And then, I was eating my food. A few minutes later, then the man who does the sermons, who works here, walked by. He walked by real quick. He walked by me. And he's like, you want some cookies? And I didn't even think, he said, do you want some more cookies? And I didn't think about his cookies. And I didn't think he was talking about his cookies. Like, do you want some more cookies? Because he was in the back area. And I thought he meant I could go up to the line and get some more because I had plenty. No, and then he took his too and put it on my plate real quick and ran away. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. He is cursing me too. But he's also a good man. So this is the thing. Like, they get jealous. So they get, so he put the cookies on my plate. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then it was too late. He said, do you want some cookies? I didn't see they were on his tray. I just saw him coming by. And I thought he meant, like, if I went through the line again, I could get some more. But no. He said, I don't really like peppermint. And he puts it on my plate. I'm like, then it was too late. It was too late. Now, I had my own, which I ate. I did not eat his. And I had some napkins, and I kind of put them, like, I kind of sat there. And then I looked where I was sitting, and I turned around and looked, and he was in the office, and he could see me. I was in his line of sight, and I'm like, oh, no. He can see if I throw him away. He can see if I get up. But anyways, then I took my time eating my food, and then I put some leftovers in a container for my dogs, and then I still had his 2 cookies on there. Then I had some napkins I had used, and then I kind of put them over the cookies. Then I'm thinking, what do I do here? Because he could see if I got up and threw them away. And then a little girl that had volunteered, she came over. I think she came with her parents, of course. Then she came, she was alone. She's like, I can take that for you. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I handed her the tray with the 2 cookies on it. Well, it still cursed me. It still cursed me because he was walking by. His tray was like he was standing, I was sitting. I didn't even know that he had cookies on his tray. And then he gave them to me, and he cursed me. And I was cursed. And then I remember last week he said there was a concert on Monday. But then I went up and asked him that there was no concert today. It was tomorrow. And tomorrow's the recovery meeting. So I'm going to try to go to that. And then right after that, go and see the concert. Maybe I can make it. If they're not late, I should be able to make it. So yes, I was cursed there. They are going to be closed some for the holidays. There's some church events going on that I can go to. the concert are minors, they're like teenagers and things, they're gonna come perform. I would like to perform, but I can't, like, I can hardly juggle my cup and my tray at the same time. I can't even get soup too because I don't have a spotter. So there's no way I can bring a guitar. What would happen to that if I brought my guitar? Nothing good. See. Um, Also, when I was going through line, I wrote this down because I forgot. I was going through line. It was like maybe witchcraft was being used here because I noticed the man with the long blonde hair who was at the recovery meeting, that he had a look like he didn't like me again, just a little bit. And I went through the line, and they had meatloaf, and I got an end piece, and it was like kind of burnt, and it was little. Well, and I didn't really care too much. I thought I would ask for a bigger one. The man right after me, there was like a huge one. And then they also had a big giant bun. They're like, oh, look at the size of this bun. Look at this. And then there was like just one bun that was like a lot bigger for no reason. And then he got like, there was a piece of meatloaf that was cut, so it was really thick and large. And so then they put that on his, and then I got like the regular sandwich and like a small piece of meatloaf that was kind of burnt. And then I went to the drink area, and then the guy was like, that one, it looks like it's kind of burnt. I didn't even really think about it yet because I just went through. Like, it's like, that's what they gave me. And then he's like, I can get you another one. And he said, I can take that one and get you another one. And then I mentioned to him, like, because he was going to probably throw it away. I'm like, well, I'll try it first, because I don't want to waste it, if it's still good. And a lot of it was still good, but some of it wasn't. I ended up eating like 2/3 of it, and then the rest was not good. I gave that to my dogs who loved it. But anyways, then I went back through the line, and I said, oh, this one, do you have like another one? And I said, just a little. I was only going to ask for like half a piece or something. And then they got a big giant piece, and we're going to give me that. I said, oh, just a little one. And then they got a little one. So I would have got a huge piece too. When I went through, there was a woman serving it, and I showed her my piece of meat and how it was like smaller, and it was kind of burnt, and so she was going to give me a huge piece. But I wasn't that hungry anymore because I already ate some food. So, but I said, give me a smaller one, and I took it, and I ate most of that, and then I brought like a little bit of soup. I went up later and got some vegetable soup, and I had a little bit of that left, and then I had some meat I put in there, a little stuffing or potatoes or something I put in there, covered up, and I just had a few bites for my dogs each. They loved that. Let's see. What did the cookie spill do? Well, we're going to find out here in a bit. So yeah, I went through, I got kind of skimpy portions and kind of a burnt piece of meat. They even knew. They're like, oh, that's probably an end piece. Yeah, and so they're nice. They gave me another one. They didn't care. It just, like, when I went through, that's just what happened. See. Yeah, something like 2 years ago, this man let the woman $10 or something. And she said, I don't know why you did that. I said, it's because I'm here. It's because I'm here. They do that. Oh, and then I kind of hung around a while. I was feeling like just stuffed, and then they just brought the coffee out, and I only had one cup. I normally like to have two. And I was just kind of feeling like real stuffed and bloated, and so I was kind of waiting, and just to make sure the concert wasn't today, because they said it was Monday last week. And then they even went and asked in the office and confirmed it was Tuesday. But I just hung around anyways. Half of this was to make sure, and half of this was I was really full and did not want to get on my bike yet. And so then, and they just had coffee. And it takes a couple minutes for that to cool down. And I just had my coffee, walked around, I walked all the way to the other side by where the sermons are, and they had like some little booklets. They're like inspirational little church pamphlets and things, and I was reading that. While I'm doing that at the other side, then two more people get up and they start fighting, and they're fighting, and I kind of hear it and I ignore it, and I just continue reading this pamphlet. I'm at the other side. They're fighting. This same woman, the employee comes out, or if she's a volunteer, she's there all the time, so she probably is a paid employee. And she comes out and she's like, hey, and she breaks it up, makes them stop. So they were really trying. Okay, first guy comes trying to hit on me, and I'm like, I'm going to go over here, and then this woman sits by me, and then the man comes up, she's like, I don't know why you did that. She was sent to sit near me. Then this man came, and then they, probably, I don't think she had planned this, but it was planned for him to come and them to start fighting. Like, then their demons got really irritated, they got real triggered by me, and then they were fighting again. This was 3 fights. Now, no physical, just really loud, like, fighting words. Like they actually sounded serious. And then they had broken up, had to leave. Um, I didn't care, because it was for me. And then I saw the other woman, like the blonde or the hillbilly type woman I talked about before, and she was kind of like in a bad mood walking around. So this type of demon was now in the soup kitchen today. They can't do anything to me. but I think maybe this was a test to see how I handled myself. Because I probably wasn't perfect. I probably did not handle it perfectly. I might have been able to do it better. Because maybe I wasn't supposed to talk to this woman at all. Like, I was thinking the guy yelled at me nasty. I didn't know what I'm supposed to do. I looked at him and, I talked to him a little bit. I tried to be reasonable. And then, after I talked to him a little bit, like, what was I doing it wrong in the beginning? And then he kept going, and I'm like, I'm not going to the bath. I said, then I'm not going to the bathroom to blow my nose. And he's like, nasty, nasty. And I said, I'm not nasty. And I sat down and I ate my food. I mean, so maybe I didn't do it right in the beginning. I don't know. God doesn't tell me what to do. I don't get, like, there's not like a class that says, when someone does this, do that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm supposed to behave myself, I guess, put some boundaries up, and then I did at the end. I said, I am not going to, at first, like, I explained myself, though. I was like, it's not hygienic in the bathroom. I didn't even say I can't leave my tray. They already know that. You can't leave your tray. And then called me, so then I was like, I'm not, then after he complained for quite a bit, then I'm like, I am not blowing my nose in the bathroom. I am not nasty. And I sat down and ate my food. And then they came and fought. And I kind of paid attention to it a little bit at first. And then I talked to the woman, because I thought, if she would be upset, then maybe I'd talk to her and be nice and help cheer her up. And maybe it did. But, was that a fail? I don't know. And then I ignored the other one. And then the other woman walking around, I ignored that. So there was a bunch of demons flying around and trying to get me. And I don't care. You can't get me. You can't get me. Anyways, but they did. The guy that works there, though, and then he's like, you want some cookies? Or you want some more cookies? And I didn't even know he meant his. I'm like, oh, yeah. And then the cookies were on my plate right away. I didn't have time to think. This must have been divine, because I didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to question. I didn't notice. When I saw they were his, I didn't want them. I was like, oh wait, that's not what, and then I'm like, oh. And then it's too late. I'm like, crap. So what did the cookie curse do? Well, I know what happened, because I have been going to the soup kitchen for a month. And this has never happened. And actually, I've been on my bike longer than that. And this has never happened, what has happened. So then I was back at home. I scheduled a carrier pickup for the mail, for the post office to pick up my packages. And then it was time to go again. It was like 4. They still hadn't come. And it's like, I'm going to get late shipments from eBay and stuff if they don't pick it up. So then I'm like, I'm going to go to the post office on the way to the soup kitchen. And, of course, I get there, and there's a big, long line. They used to ask if somebody just needs a scan. They haven't been doing that, and just making me late. So, it was a big, long line. It was still faster than the Columbus one, but then I realized right before, like, as I was getting close to the tellers, the clerks, I realized what happened is I did not have my bag with my bike key in it. So I had like 3 minutes. I had like 3 minutes until it was time for the soup kitchen to open. Or to serve, I'm sorry, soup kitchen is already open. I had like 3 minutes until they served dinner. And then I was standing there, and I realized, oh my gosh, I don't have my bike key. I locked my bike, which I didn't. So I did not lock my bike last time. I asked a man who asked for money. So there's a man there who asked for money for veterans or something. Well, he doesn't say for other veterans anymore. But anyways, I asked him if he would watch my bike last time. And then it took a long time, and I felt bad. So this time I just locked it. And I thought I'll be okay, you know. And then I get in, and there's a big line. I'm like, shoot, shoot, shoot. And then as I get towards the end of the line, I'm like, oh no, my bike key is at home. My home is a mile away, and then I'm gonna miss dinner if I have to go back home and come back here. So then I thought, then I'm just gonna have to like run to the soup kitchen. I'll run a half mile instead of going a mile back home and a mile back. Then I'll just run a half mile to the soup kitchen. I'll still be late, but I still be should be there in time to get food. Um, but God also planned. So this is what happened. Something with that cookie curse. I did not have my bag that I always wear every single time, and it has my bike key in it. I did not have it, and then I locked my bike. So this wasn't good. But actually, if I went to the soup kitchen without the lock, it probably just would have been stolen. So that's good. And it was not stolen at the post office. I asked them, mentioned too. I'm like, oh no, I left my bike key. Be okay, like, and not having the police take it or something. They're like, it'd probably be okay, you know, I imagine. If it's not blocking the wheelchair ramp. No, it's not blocking the wheelchair ramp. They do not have a bike rack. It's why I'm concerned, because I had to lock it on the edge of the railing for the stairs, all the way on the other side. I don't like to do that. The post office does not have a bike rack, and they really should. But they have a huge staircase. It kind of goes like this, and then there's like rails in the middle, and then there's also a wheelchair ramp. So there's a huge um, a huge staircase. It's like an old one, and then they put like probably cast iron or not. What's that black? It's like a black metal. Yeah, maybe it's cast iron railing and stuff on it. It looks really nice, but there's no bike rail, so I end up always having to attach my bike to the very edge of this railing. It's all the way on the other side. The wheelchair ramp, I do not attach it to that. So, and I normally wouldn't have done this. It's a good thing I did though, because otherwise someone at the soup kitchen would have stolen it. I'm sure. Like they wouldn't steal it. Of course they would. But anyways, and I come out and I see the man who asked, like the veteran who asked for money there. And he's getting his stuff packed up and putting it in his car, and he's just about ready to leave. I'm like, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask. Because everything happens for a reason. And I'm like, Michael. Archangel Michael, he said before. Yeah, I have said on the internet now his name. I'm like, Michael. I'm like, oh no, do you think maybe you could help me do a good deed and God will bless you or something? I don't remember what I said. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, oh no. And I said, do you think you could help me? And I said, I left my bike key and I'm trying to go to the soup kitchen and and I asked, do you think you could give me a ride to the soup kitchen? I said, I locked my bike and I forgot my key. And he said, well, we could go back and get your key or go there. And I'm like, actually, we have like 2 minutes until it's time to serve dinner. I should just go. I could walk later to my house. But I could walk back to my house later, but they're serving dinner in 2 minutes. You could just take me to the soup kitchen. He acted like he was going to go. I invited him to come. He even said he used to go. But then we get, I'm like, oh, you know, like talking to be nice. I'm like, thank you so much. And then we get there, he drops me off. And I'm like, oh, I guess he's not going then. He kind of acted like he was going to. And then, yes, there was the addicts coming and walking. He probably saw them and had some enemies in there. I don't know, but then he left. Then he left. I'm like, oh, okay. And then this man with the yellow hat, the black man who had walked me to the church before, he was standing there. And he saw me get out of his car and then walk in right on time. So maybe they were involved in this spell too. I don't know. So that I didn't have my bike key. And then there was Archangel Michael, probably not really Archangel Michael, but I don't know, could be, who knows, probably not though. Anyways, then he just dropped me off. I was right on time, and then I wasn't flustered, I wasn't tired, I wasn't panting, my face wasn't bright red. I just walked in, I'm like, this is kind of nice. This is nice. This is what the other people experience when they're not biking and like all worn out. But of course, I could leave sooner. That's my fault, and I'm always running late. Anyways, I walk in, and, you know, there's kind of people going like this and going in, and clearly they were of the addicted personality type. But, you know, some of these people are good at heart, you know, if they can get rid of those demons, they can probably repent. And I had seen some people recently, and they had recovered, so that's good. Also, when I talked to the woman earlier, she was mentioning about the woman that was the man was fighting with. They were fighting, like right over me on purpose. And she mentioned like, oh, there's all types of addiction. It's not just drugs. I'm like, yeah, I just talked about this the other day. It's like I think everybody has an addiction. Everybody's been addicted. It's like all types of things you can be addicted to, not just drugs. So I think everyone has, and she confirmed that to me. So I have been brought to this addiction center. Um, who knows what God is going to do? I don't know. But there's supposed to be real food, the actual potluck stuff this time, which is tomorrow. The man who volunteers at the soup kitchen is going to be there this time. He had a little bit of, not too much, but a little bit of that look like he didn't like a fake, like a frenemy. A little bit of that going on. So great. Wonderful. Thank you, Lord. Let's see. So that's what happened with the cookies. But I did make it right on time. I went in. I'm trying to even think, like, what happened. As I saw the same man that was in front of me in the line earlier, then as I came in, he got in the line right in front of me. He didn't ditch or anything. Like, he was already, like, 10 feet or so ahead of me, and then he starts to just go into the line. Like, they were watching me, and he was going in front of me for some reason. I don't know. Like, they do weird stuff in formations. I don't know, to kind of corral me, like leaving this area of the table unoccupied so it's a good place to sit so that I will sit there. I mean, they just do this stuff on purpose. And oh, the man that didn't like that I blow my nose just happened to be sitting there. I'm like, oh, I didn't even, like, that's the empty seat right there. What do you want me to do, buddy? Anyways, I'm not going to go sit right next to somebody or all the way at the back again. This clearly is the good spot. It's right next to the water, and I am thirsty, and no one else is sitting in these few seats. Anyways, I'm just trying to think what happened for dinner. Oh, I got hit on by a new man this time. And apparently his mom was there too. And so this was this and they were both black. I am not saying this to be racist because the white men they've sent a white one to hit on me too. It's not that. But I want to remember also who these people are and what they look like. And so the woman, like she's a little overweight, but she's got a beautiful face. She had a lot of big fake eyelashes on. She was really beautiful. She looked like she had good skin. She looked really young too. And then her son was there, and I didn't. They told me, I didn't know this. Actually, they had some free sweatshirts. That's what it was. There was free sweatshirts and socks and stuff up on this table when I went to look. And then I looked. I found a couple pairs of socks. Oh my gosh, guys, look. I got these. These are pre-owned, I believe, but they are clean and they are in better condition than all of my other socks. So I got some socks. They had. I'm going to show you my freebies here. These you like floss your teeth with. Here's a bar soap. I got more of this. Some more things that I'm not going to show on the camera, like just like flosser things. So I was digging through this, and I brought my tray, of course, but then I had to like crouch down, like, because there was a shelf under the table where there was a box with the stuff in it. Then my tray was up here on the top. My tray was up on the top, so somebody might have messed with it when I was down there. Now, it would have been harder, because anyone on the tables that happened to be looking could see. But most of the people there are trying to get me. So they wouldn't tell. They're not going to go tattle. Only if one of the volunteers happens to be looking, And they're not. They do it when they're not looking. And then I'm down there for like a couple minutes digging through this box. They probably put something in my food. That's okay. I gave it to all my dogs. They're not allowed to kill me. Okay, it's more like they want to do love magic spells or things that make you feel or like someone or dislike, just weird stuff or cause you trouble. But it's not something that would kill you, like most of these spells aren't. They don't even want to kill you. They know they're not allowed. They just want to cause trouble or get you to fall in love with somebody or forget something, or like I did not have my bike key, which I always have. And then I get up, and then there's the man, and the woman is right there, and she's like, "Oh, you're beautiful." I'm like, and actually, I thought her face, I thought looked better than my face. I'm just gonna say she had a nice looking face. I'm like, oh, thank you. I said, you're beautiful. And she said, and then something came up, and like, how old are you? Or no, or her son was there, and I thought, okay, he was probably gonna try to hit on me, and she was there, and she's like, oh, oh, okay, this is what it was. So they mentioned something that she was his mother, and she didn't look that old. So I'm like, I'm old. I said, I'm old, and she said, you don't look that old. I said, I'm 43. I said, I'm old. And she was like 54 or something. I said, I'm old. and then I asked him, because he was acting a little interested in me. They're sent, but I'm still trying to be polite to them. Um, they're sent to try to date me. Okay, they don't choose this on their own. They're not like, oh, I like that. I like Jennifer. Let me go. No, they are sent. It's a demonic assignment to come get me. Okay, and then here's another. We're number 9 now. and he's like, oh, that's fine with like that's about the same age as me. And he's saying this stuff like that age is fine. And I said, how old are you? And then he said, guess. I'm 20, 25, 30. I said, yes. And actually 30 and 43, that's not unreasonable. But I am not available. 30 and 43 can work. I said, well, I'm probably going to live more than 100. I'm gonna live forever. Okay, actually, I had a grandmother pass, and she lived to about 100. So I imagine, like, and she didn't eat healthy. I'm not now. I'm just saying, like, I did eat healthy. Well, you know what? Cause so did she when she was young. But anyways, I had to be nice and talking to him, like, oh, and then he talked to me a little bit, and I talked to him, and he's like, well, where are you from? I'm like, well, I'm from Columbus, and he's like, from here, and I said, okay, it was nice talking to you. And then I left. I was just talking to him and being nice. And then, but, no phone numbers, no dates, nothing. I was just talking to him. And then the mom was kind of like, that she's older or something. The mom was like, yeah. And I talked to him a minute and being nice, and then I left. I'm not available. They know. They're trying to, like, block me and tie me down. Now, they've been ever since. Well, actually, it was right before that man drove by me and he said butterfly. Okay, so it was like a couple days before that they started hitting on me. So maybe this was the marker that this is why. It's a new season. And then the man who is hired and works in the soup kitchen was part of he gave me the cursed cookies. He's like, you want some He's like, do you want some more cookies? And I thought he meant I could go to the line and get more. And then he had his tray, and he's like, right onto my tray. I'm like, oh, they got me. They got me. You're not even thinking about it. And this is like an employee that runs the place and gives sermons. So yes, I got hit on. More people. And another man kind of talked a little bit. It could have been hitting. It could have just been being nice, honestly. This one wasn't really too much like hitting on me, honestly. Another man talked to me a little bit. And he was saying, like, honey or sweetie, too, when he talked to me. But he wasn't saying anything. But he might have been also sent to try to hit on me. I'm going to say that kind of, I got those vibes. But I wasn't. And I was being nice, answering, but with boundaries. I was answering questions in an appropriate way without sharing too much. Okay? So, is this a test? How to share without sharing too much. And I said, like, do you got a place? And yeah. I said, do you have a place? So I asked him the same thing. And I don't say specifics. I'm being polite. I'm engaging in a conversation with people, but I'm not giving away all my personal information right away. I'm not. And then he says, oh, hey, honey, hey, sweetie, just talks to me normal after that. He might not have been trying to hit on me. He might have been going in and talking to me to see if it was possible, and then if it were possible, because it's not. and then the other man comes up to me and talks to me. He's like, what are you going to do with all those leftovers? Because maybe someone did something. I actually had a tray sitting there with the meat. It just had meat on it that was ripped up. So I left my tray for like 5 minutes unattended. The only thing on it was meat. Nothing else. And I was going to give that to my dogs. So if they put a love magic in that, I don't care. They can put love magic in there. My dogs can feel love. That's fine. I'm not going to eat that. And then he comes up and he says, what are you going to do with all that food? Because they had one to-go container left. And I said, probably going to give it to the dogs. And he said, give it to the dogs. I normally, or eat some of it. I said, I normally eat all of it. My stomach is just kind of, not really that hungry. Like, my stomach's kind of upset today. I said, I normally eat it, but not today. I'm just not. So they probably did something to my food. Probably put like a love magic or some type of spell in it, like a mind control spell. I'm like, what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with all that food? And I said, I'll give it to the dogs. And I said, I normally don't, but I'm just not, my stomach's kind of upset today. And then I went, and I kind of look around, and actually, as I'm in line, another man turns around and looks at me and was like, how are you doing? And he sounded like okay. I think he might be an undercover cop. Oh my gosh, I think he might be. I'm just guessing. I think he might be an undercover cop. He blends in with the homeless people there. And he was talking to a woman, and her son is a police officer. And she said they were friends. And he was in line, so when I come in for dinner, he was like 3 people ahead of me and turned around. And I came in line, and he's like, how are you doing, Jennifer? And he said it so normal, and he knew my name. And I said, I'm doing well, thank you. I did not miss the dinner. They probably thought I would, and I did not miss it. Maybe that. Maybe he's an undercover cop. Maybe he's an angel, I don't know. Probably undercover cop is more likely, but I don't know. So I didn't even think about it. There was no ride present. Nobody offered a ride. And I kind of went in the office at the end, and I saw the man in there that gave me the cookies earlier that works there. The one that gave me the cookies, and I said, oh, it looks like all the napkins are gone, and probably not. If I could ask if there's a tissue again. My nose has been going like crazy this past month. He's like, yeah, mine did that a while back. Like, I said, my sinuses have been going for like a month. And it said, it's okay if you don't have anything. You just take a paper towel out of the bathroom. I'm like, oh, I said, oh, actually, I don't want to take your guys' stuff. Or anything. And he's like, oh, it's okay. By the time we get another one, of course it's in the bathroom. But it's like after you wash your hands, then you get it type thing. So I just got one to use anyways, because they have their own private bathroom. The regular people don't go in. And so I got one of those to blow my nose. Because there was only a couple, because he's like, well, we had some paper towels sitting out there earlier. I said, oh yeah, I think someone else got them. Because there was a few napkins left, and then there was like a stack of a few paper towels. And I only took like the couple napkins that were left, and I didn't take the paper towels because I thought like other people are still here, maybe someone else needs them. So I left them, but probably they brought those extra, and I said, oh yeah, they're gone, you know. And then we were talking a bit, and like I had talked to him before about this man who takes charity, like the veteran, and the other man went in the office and then saying how he wasn't a veteran and kind of they didn't. Like, actually, the man in the office was not that rude, but he still didn't really like him, if that makes sense. And so I was telling him what happened, and so he knew. He gave me the cursed cookies, so I forgot my bike key, and I had to walk for like an extra hour and be out longer. And I almost missed dinner, but I did not miss dinner because Michael, I said, actually a strange thing, I've got to walk a long ways home tonight because I left my bike key. I think I said, this has never happened. I left my bike key, and I was going to the post office to drop some packages, and then I left my bike key at home, and then this man that takes money for the veterans was there, and he dropped me off here. He dropped me off, and I told him that, and then I said, and I looked into it, and so I told him what I found out about this man. Is that he kind of mixed his donations with his own personal money, which wasn't good, and this is more than 10 years ago. He was fined more than $1 million, and so he mentioned the bad things he did, and I'm like, yeah, and I said, he seems like a good man, and he's like, yeah, but he still has those veteran things when he's out of by the post office, and I said, yeah, you're right, and I said, Isn't it possible that a good person can do a bad thing? So God speak for me, inspire me what to say. This is what I said. So this whole thing with Michael, and then I talked to, and so I'm talking to this man that works there. He won't look. He's not looking me in the eyes. Like he doesn't want to look me in the eyes. He's like looking at his computer screen, and he won't look me in the eyes, even though we're talking. He's kind of. I think he doesn't want to look me in the eyes. And he mentioned, since Christ hasn't, actually, before we even mentioned this, we're talking to other stuff, and he mentioned, like, because Christ hasn't returned yet, and he said he like picked up his cross and is following Jesus. And I asked him, how you working here and stuff, and he said he started working there and he never quit, and he doesn't make a lot, but he doesn't work there for the money and stuff. And so I'm like, oh, like, that's good. I said, well, that's a good thing. He gave me the cursed cookie, and I said, I really like your sermons, they're better than in the churches. He gave me the cursed cookie, and I almost missed dinner, and that was not fun, and I did not have my bike key. This does not happen. It was a curse, okay? I happen to know it was a curse, and he was like, here, and then ran away. And then he could see me from the up. I know this is a curse. I am not everybody tries to give me stuff, and I have to say no. And then he gave me something. I'm like, then I thought, yep, that I knew right away, because they all do the same thing, okay? And so he did, and I'm asking him questions and stuff, and then we talk about, and I said, this man dropped me off, and I said, he seems like a good man. I said, he seems like a good man. And he's like, yeah, but this, and then he said, yeah, but he does this and that, and I said, yeah, isn't it possible that a good person can do a bad thing? And I didn't, and just said it normal, and he's like, yeah, and then he quoted epistles of Paul, but he normally does not, but he said, I guess we all fall short. He says, yes, he said, yes, we all fall short of the glory of God, which is not God, but yeah, we are not. I said, nobody's perfect. I said, so this was divine. This was divinely orchestrated, because I think this is a good man, and for some reason or another, he cursed me. And then I was defending this other man who bad things were being said about that day when he dropped me off. And I said, did he drop me off? And he seemed like a nice man. And he said, and I said, isn't it possible that a good person can do a bad thing? And I didn't mean to say this, but it just happened to be. He was like, yeah. And then, so you have a good day, and left. And that message was for him. That message was for him. A good person can do a bad thing. Anyways, then I just start heading in. I start walking. And I walk slowly, and then I look. And it takes a little bit more than a half hour to walk home. And I walked past the post office to make sure my bike was still there. And I get home, and I see my dogs, and I say, guys, I gotta go get my bike, and then I'll come back. It turns out earlier today, I was real tired. So when I got home, I fed the dogs, and it was kind of later, and then I wanted to take a nap before dinner. So then, and I looked at the computer a few minutes too, like 15 minutes or so. And so then I would have had like a little bit more than an hour to take a nice nap before dinner. And of course, while I'm doing this, the phone rings. It rings twice in a row. I'm like, oh, it rings twice in a row. Then the computer phone immediately rings, and I'm thinking, this must be my father. It must be my father. Of course it is, because it tried to ring me twice, and then the computer phone. And then I said, I cast you out. And then the phone immediately stopped ringing. Just said, I cast you out. And then I'm asleep. And then like a half hour later, it rings again. I'm like, oh. And then ruined my last 5 minutes of my nap. And then like, okay, fine, I'm just getting up. I'm just getting up. And I saw it was my father, but I had to go to dinner. And then I checked my missed call log. He had called like 6 times. Or more, maybe 7 or something, I don't know. Because he called, I guess, last night. I think he called last night. He called early this morning. Then he called twice while I was taking a nap. And then he called while I was out getting my bike. And so I missed most of these. I wasn't home. So I think he called while I was out getting my lunch. Or maybe when I was, getting an item that sold. He called then. I wasn't home. And then he called while I wasn't home yesterday because we were caroling. Then he called while I was getting my bike. But then he called 2 different times while I was trying to take a nap. And I was like, I'm not getting that. I am trying to take a nap. And I already told Sarah. I told Sarah, I said, I'm going to take a nap with you. She was so excited. No, I was not going to answer the phone and get up. And then I did call him this evening, and I found out that my ex narcissist doesn't have a job again. He was probably working for the temp agency, and then they have jobs that just run out after a period of time. So it's not a permanent job, like, but they didn't have anything for him to do right then or something. That's what he said. But see, that's what my ex said. So he could just also be lying and have lost. If he had another job, he might have just lost it, honestly. But apparently, he's got my oldest daughter in control. She had to sell out because of what he was involved, or at least if he didn't do it himself, he knew, and he was waiting right by the house. Because it was either mosquito or she was just given some rare mosquito disease. So she had swelling to the brain and went into a coma. And came back, was so sweet right in the beginning, but then later I found out she had to sell out. She had to sell out to the dark side, and now is an enemy. She's also there, he's got access to all the food, all the drinks, probably making the coffee, poisoning, putting spells. And look, some of the poison is just spells, like mind control, or to make you love them, okay, this type of thing. Or to make you not like someone else. They do this type of spell. This is really what they do, more than they don't want to kill. Anyways, because that doesn't make you not love God if you just die right away. That's not the point. Anyways, let's see. So her whole life, it's just stopped. It's delayed. It's like in stagnation because of these promises. He's suing me. Then it was canceled again. And then he says once he gets the money from the court case, then he can pay for her education. It's like, he used to have a job making $100,000 a year, and then God took it away. And I said, God took it away because he said he would pay for my groceries. I was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years, and I don't get any alimony or anything. He said he would pay for my groceries. For a couple of months, he kind of did. The card was off half the time, and half the time it worked for the groceries. So he paid for half of it, and then he's like, I'm cutting you off. Well, guess what? Right after he said that, God cut him off because he lost his job. Then he's lost his other job. Well, possibly it was just a temporary job that ran out. But it's also possible he had a regular job and got fired. I don't know, and I don't care. But, it's sad what's happening to my daughter. She had to sell out. She's like under robotic mind control. And then he's saying, oh, once this court case is over, then I'll get the money and then you can start school. And so other relatives are like, no, you don't need that. They will pay. They'll give the money so that she can get an education. And so that she doesn't wait around. And I said, yeah, and then I said on the phone, because he's not going to get any money from me. He's not going to get any money from me. I said, he might get money from the sale of the house, but I said, he's probably already in debt, and he's spending a lot on his new wife, whether they're married or not. Whether it's common law or an actual marriage. And he's like, yeah, they had some trip, like the honeymoon, and that was like some other thousands of dollars. And I said, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going to eat, buying gifts and stuff. He's probably has a lot more debt. And if he gets money from the sale of the house, it'll probably be gone really fast. And our daughter is not going to see that money. And so her waiting around for this trial to get money, it's like, no, he's not going to get anything. So that's what he's doing to her, but it's really sad. It's really sad. She is getting hurt. And maybe that's more supply for him because he's not getting me. He's getting supply from her because he can't get supply from me. But and I said, yeah, that's what they do. That's what the Kingdom of Darkness does. Delay, install, and stagnation. Like blocking people from what they're supposed to do. So it's exactly what they do. And so anyways, maybe my stepsister or my father will, they are my enemies, but at the same time, maybe, actually my stepsister, I don't really know, because she hasn't done anything. She kind of didn't like me, but at the same time, I don't know she's ever done anything to me, so I can't really say that. I can't say that about my sisters. My younger sisters, they try to get me, by showing pictures of them, on vacation and with their high-paying jobs, trying to make me jealous. Okay, but I don't care. But my older sisters, they, you know what, they don't do that. I'm gonna say they don't do that. So I don't know. I can't put them in the same boat as this. And my older sister, it kind of seemed like maybe she didn't really like me, but maybe that was all witchcraft. It might have been just witchcraft because, if she's actually, trying to help my daughter get into school or something, um, because I know women are supposed to be stay-at-home moms. That's true. But that's not what's happening. She's just living in my house with her father, and she's not advancing. She's not dating. She's not doing anything. She's just like on the computer waiting around. So her life is being blocked and delayed. So it would be better for her to go get, some type of job training or, a degree or something so that she can go out and like make some friends and meet people and do some things and be happy. That's why. It's not even because she needs that for a job. It's like this is what her father has done to her. It's just blocked her, so that she sits at home and doesn't even do anything. Like she had a car she couldn't use, and now she needs to wait to start school. She doesn't need to do school at all. But right now she's not doing school and she's not doing anything. So that would be an improvement. That would be an improvement if she went out and maybe she would get some friends and things. And if she would stop selling out to the devil, she could come hang out here and come to the soup kitchen with me and have some fun. Honestly, just with any job here, she could be like rich. I'm just gonna say, like living like a king here in my small town. um, what else? Yeah, I talked to my father. I had a bunch of leftovers. Like, I wasn't sure. I probably was going to eat some more of it, but I wasn't that hungry. And then probably somebody poisoned it. Probably it was. I'm like, I'm gonna give it to the dogs. Now, this is not deadly poison. Okay? When I say poison, some of it is deadly. Okay? Like, I had internal bleeding at the end of my relationship, and then all types of, like, that was bad. Okay? But this type of poison, like, most of the time, it's love magic. It's to make you like someone. It's to make you not like somebody. Like, that type of thing. To put, like, this spiritual, like, to trade your image with someone else's. Weird witchcraft stuff like this. So, that's not gonna, I don't even know that works on dogs. Because a lot of times it's targeted to me. So if I give it to my dogs, I don't think that does anything, really. I mean, if it does, they don't understand. They like the food and they're happy. So if they put love magic in that, and then, here's my dogs, it's not going to work. If they have a romantic dream about, like, some man at the soup kitchen, they're not going to. They're dogs. So anyways, and I thought maybe that's the case because the woman and her son were over there near my tray while I was crouched down looking at these free goodies here. I was crouched down. My tray was above here. I couldn't see it. There they were. They might have put some love potion in my food. And then the other guy came up later, who I didn't speak to the rest of the day. He was like, what are you going to do with that food? All that food? What are you going to do with all that food? And I'll probably give it to the dogs. Yeah, you put love magic. Did you put love magic in my food? And I fed it to my dogs. They really enjoyed it. Anyways, I got a couple more socks. Also noticed something else. There's a woman who actually came and sat by me the first day and we talked a bit. And then she will ask for big boxes and gets all the free stuff and leaves. So this is one thing I noticed. I went up. I saw they had some clothes up there. Like new stuff, or wasn't new, but like stuff that normally isn't there. Because there's stuff that's there a long time and nobody wants it. Like, what's left is stuff that doesn't fit, or, it's just not seasonal. It's stuff that nobody wants, really. Because the good stuff's already taken. Here's some new stuff that's coming, and it's sitting on the table. And then when I go up and look, there's like a stack of sweatshirts, and I'm like, okay. And then it's 4XL. And then the one below it, they're all different. They're like the same but different colors. 4XL. Like, they're all 4XL. I even opened it up, and I'm like, this is not going to work. Maybe an XL, possibly. I cannot wear the 4XL was so big that it would not, I couldn't even use it. Anyways, so then I sat back down later and I noticed, so this one woman, she had a box, and then she had a sweatshirt in it, and it was a nice looking sweatshirt, and it was probably my size, and that's okay, she deserves a sweatshirt. But it looked like she had more, like she had a lot of stuff. So she probably went and got all the good stuff that wasn't 4XL, and then she had a big box and put it on the box and took it. Like, that's what I'm saying. And so another time, then they pass the stuff out. Everybody get one of each, so there's enough for everybody. They said this. And then no one said that this day. And then this woman got all the good stuff. Like, I saw that sweatshirt. I would have liked that sweatshirt. But I didn't get that sweatshirt. That's okay. You can have the nice looking sweatshirt I saw right on the top in her box. She had a box like this big, and it was full of stuff. And so she got all the free stuff. And like this stuff I took, they still had more of. So like I took extras of this. Like I got a lot of these, but then there was still like a bunch of them left. So I didn't take them all. Anyways, that is what happened today. December 22nd was not restoration, and my nap was ruined. My nap was ruined again. Oh, I heard my mother's health is doing very bad. She's shaking like all the time. Yeah, and I said, well, I try to give people advice. I try to help them, but they don't listen to me. So what do you expect? You know, I can't feel bad. I try to help people, and they don't want my advice, and there's nothing I can do. And I said, you're forbidden from worrying about me, and she's forbidden from worrying about me. And I said, they're going to be healing people and life extension soon, so, you know. I mean, this is just to make me sad. I said, I don't like that, but, you know, and I tried to help get her health better. She didn't want to listen, so, you know, there you go. And then I mentioned after that about how trying to get me, and when they can't get me, then they get sick and start, I didn't say consuming themselves, but, you know, like I said, my ex would get Guillain-Barré when he didn't do enough evil. I said, sad, they're made this way, but, you know. I don't know what God's going to do about that, but it does say in the Quran, which maybe could be what God's going to do, is that God will change your mind. So if you start doing the right actions, then God will change your mind. So like maybe you don't care about doing the right thing, you don't care about other people, but you make a choice to do the right thing anyways, and you keep doing that. And when you do that, then God changes your mind, like giving a heart to the Grinch. Okay, it changes them. But you have to make a logical decision. I'm not going to rob. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to treat people wrong. I'm going to make the right choice. And then God will grow a heart. Possibly. Well, this is what the Quran says. It explains everything, so that must be the way. Anyways, thanks for watching. God bless you.